About 10 years ago, I went on the Joe Rogan show 3 times. And it changed his life. He was just effusive, just so much praise. Like, oh my God, bulletproof coffee, Dave Asprey, grass-fed meat. You know, his blog has all this content. Like, it's so good. And I didn't know who Joe Rogan was. Like, I was doing my own show. I had actually never listened to a podcast.
Really?
Last year, I've listened to maybe 6 podcast episodes in my life. Like, it's just,
okay, you weren't just a big podcast. Yeah.
I create content. I don't spend time listening to it like that. I listen to audiobooks because they're just more concentrated. So anyway, I didn't know who Rogan was, but he was already a big deal. And I went on his show and I just talked about what I do. And he ended up inviting me back. And then pretty soon, one of the companies that he was an investor in decides to copy my products, like just straight up copy them. So overnight, he tells his followers, Dave Asprey's a bad man, and he lied on my show despite there being no evidence. He says my coffee's moldy. There's no evidence.
And I know which company this is.
Yeah. It was a big takedown campaign, right? And
sure.
It was orchestrated. It was a cancellation thing. Like the whole thing, you know, and I'll just say straight up, I've been to Joe's comedy show. It's funny. He's actually a really funny guy. And what he did during the pandemic, like kudos, real balls. I have no issues with that stuff. What he did with me was dirty. Okay, you know, he's an MMA guy. We're in business, but it was dirty. So what I should have just done was looked at reality, which was very different than what I saw. Because what I saw was I walked in, I did nothing but help Rogan and all of his fans. Like I offered them new knowledge, new information. I was authentic. Every single thing I said was real and true. Yet I got punished for it. And I didn't know this. It took about 6 months to figure it out. And it really rocked me from a business perspective. It was injustice. Injustice is a major trigger for people because we believe life is fair. It's not. And I was like, I got to do something. So you plug in the electrodes, go back. I got to do a reset on this. One of my guys, the first head of marketing I had was a convoy commander from Iraq. His name is Zach. And he's like, Dave, why are you acting this way? Like you got some douchebag comedian who's, you know, saying bad things about you online. I'm like, but have you seen the comments? You know, people used to say, thanks for helping me lose 100 pounds. And now they're just saying, you know, that I sell snake oil. And so I went and I hooked the electrodes up and I started doing the reset process. And this image popped into my mind that I hadn't thought of in 30 or 40 years. I was in first grade. And I went to the bathroom in first grade at my public school. And there's a kid peeing on the wall. Right. So I walk out of the bathroom and I say, teacher, you know, the kid peed on the wall. Why am I telling you this right now? My stupid body remembered this. Right. And he comes out and goes, it wasn't me, it was Dave. So I got punished. I got sent to the principal's office. And the amount of outrage in a first grader for being punished for doing the right thing, it apparently really pissed me off back then. I had no recollection of this in my adult life. But as soon as I started doing the work, it popped into my head. Like, what the hell? So you do the reset on the teacher and you do the reset on, you know, the other kid. One for lying and one for not believing me, right? And as soon as I did that, reality just came tumbling in. And the reality was every time Joe Rogan says Dave Asprey's a bad person, I make more money because I sell more coffee. It doesn't matter what he says. But I was completely like rocked for about 6 months. Because of an old trauma from first grade that I had no conscious recollection from. And now, I like to think I'm kind of a badass. I've done enormous things in the world. I also know that I have all of my flaws and all that stuff. But if some dumb experience I can't remember from first grade can rock me in my business world for 6 months, that's unacceptable, right? So I healed that trauma. I ran the reset process on it. And now, last time I went to see a Rogan comedy show, I wore a bulletproof t-shirt.
What a message.
Yeah, there's no anger there.